Also für Deutsch, ich versuche auf Deutsch zu sprechen, aber ich muss erstmal sagen, dass mein Deutschsprachniveau ist ein bisschen niedriger, als ich möchte. Ich habe lange Zeit kein Deutsch gesprochen wegen der Corona-Krise, so wenn ich manche Fehler mache oder sowas, ja, bitte bestehen. Ich werde nicht alle meine Fehler schneiden, weil ich eine genaue Darstellung eines Lernenden zeigen möchte. Ich benutze dieses Buch, weil mein Unikurs gar kein Textbuch hat und das mir nervt. So, ich mache gern Grammatikübungen. Für mich ist dieses Buch sehr wichtig. Eine Sache hier zu beachten ist, dass die Grammatikübungen auf Deutsch erklärt werden, sodass Ihr Deutsch gut genug sein muss, um die Erklärung zu verstehen, um dieses Buch zu verwenden. Kommt nächstes. Ich habe auch dieses Buch Wirtschaft B2. Ich muss es für Uni verwenden, aber es ist nicht für mich. Nicht für mich. Es hat keine englische Übersetzung für die deutsche Wörter, so man muss jedes Mal die Wörter nachschlagen und es ist okay, aber es nimmt zu viel Zeit. Man muss sehr viel Zeit verbringen, diese Wörter zu nachschlagen, im Quizlet machen und so weiter. Und auch die Probleme ist, es gibt Übungen für die Wörter in diesem Buch, aber meine Freundin und ich alle denken, dass manche von den Übungen sind fast unmöglich. Es ist so schwierig, die Wörter zu denken. So wenn man hat Probleme mit, ich weiß nicht die Wörter, aber Gap Fills, wenn man muss eine Wörter einfach denken und in die Gap setzen, dann ist es sehr schwierig. Ein Ziel von mir war, Harry Potter auf Deutsch zu lesen, aber es gibt auch Probleme mit dieser. Meine Bücher sind in meiner Uni-Wohnung und ich kann nicht in meine Uni-Wohnung gehen, wegen wieder der Corona-Krise. So, ja, ich kann nicht Harry Potter lesen im Moment. Stattdessen habe ich den deutschen Roman Wohl Idiot gekauft. Es ist ziemlich lustig und obwohl ich nicht alle Wörter verstehe ich genug, um die Geschichte zu verstehen. For Chinese, I have the new Practical Reader textbook. This is the one given to me by my uni course, so again, I didn't pick this one like the Workshops B2, I just have this one. It also comes with a workbook. I would say that I overall like it. I think it has pros and cons. I think that it covers a lot of good topics and is really good for quickly learning. I think it's pretty useless outside a classroom environment though, so I think if you didn't have a teacher, there's probably better books out there for self-studying. And I think some of the words are a bit outdated. There is examples of words, for example, the word it gives for a young woman in Chinese slang does mean something slightly less polite, so it wouldn't be a good one to use, and it doesn't qualify that in the textbook. So some of the words are a bit out of date, and some of them are slightly weird choices, but it roughly follows along with the HSK guidelines for words, and overall I think it's been quite helpful. The grammar explanations are good, has lots of exercises. The workbook also has lots of exercises to help. Again, not good if you don't have a teacher because it doesn't have an answer key. I get all my answers from my teacher. She sends the answers out after we've done the exercises, so if you're self-studying, there is other books I would probably recommend. A book I'm using to help with my Chinese is this Mandarin Companion Graded Reader. This one is sort of like a detective one. I also have another one at university again that I can't get to, which is about a group of university friends. And it's basically just, this one is the first level, the easiest one. It only has 150 characters, and in the book it has the meanings for any characters that are probably a bit more difficult. It underlines them, and at the bottom it tells you what it means in English. It's really helpful just expanding your knowledge of reading and putting your Chinese reading into like a practical use. And they like levels go up. It also has like level 1 and level 2, so you can build up to a sort of greater knowledge. It recommends about 1 year into Chinese study to start doing this, even though 150 characters doesn't sound a lot. It's got quite a few grammar points and it is actually quite a lot for Chinese, so it wouldn't be for absolute beginners, but if you've past the slightly beginner standpoint, I would go for this one. It's really helpful, I like it. And the stories are quite cute. Obviously they're a bit like kiddie because it's like a really easy book, but they're not like the worst things ever. I think they're quite funny in how cute they are, so yeah, I like it. And then finally we have Korean. So I've started by using this textbook, the Elementary Korean textbook by Tuttle. So far I really like it. It's quite thick, it's quite heavy, but it is good for absolute beginners. I skipped the first few sections where it teaches you how to read and write Hangul because I can already do that, and the bit with basic introductions, I already knew most of those. It has also got, as most books do, pros and cons. I think the grammar is super detailed, explained really well, but it is quite intensive, so if you're just looking to study really casually, again I wouldn't maybe recommend this. And also, I said the vocab in New Practical Chinese Reader was ridiculous, but this one is there's so many vocab words, like way more than the Chinese book, and they are totally ridiculous, some of them, like the word for like chalk. I mean, I'm never going to use the word for chalk. I've never been to a school or university where they use chalk, and I probably never will in a Korean setting, so not the most useful for me. But you can just skip those out. There is an extreme amount of vocabulary in this book, so maybe sometimes just take it with a pinch of salt. But overall, I think it's pretty good. Also, you can buy a workbook that goes alongside it, and both of them, these are good for self-studying because they have the answers in them. They're actually used, I think, in the UK because one of the authors is one of the professors at one of the only universities in the UK that teaches Korean, so they are actually used in universities, but you can also use it for self-study, unlike the Chinese book. And also there is Chinese versions of these books. The series has it in quite a few languages, so if you were looking for a different Chinese book, I would maybe recommend the Chinese version of the Korean books, because even though I haven't used them for Chinese, I think it's great for Korean, and I don't see why it'd be that different. It's the same company, and all the books look very similar and set up in a similar style. And I think when I get to a certain level, or more serious about studying Japanese, these are the books I would also pick to use for Japanese. I think Tuttle in general is a really good language publisher for Asian languages. They also have other languages, I think, like maybe Vietnamese and Thai, I'm not 100% sure, but they are good. So if you're looking at East Asian languages, I would probably recommend these books. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and tell me what you think about these textbooks in the comments, or if you have any questions about them, I'd be happy to answer. And also if you have any suggestions for good books to help with the learning, or other textbooks that you use that you really like, I'd be really interested to hear that, because I think the best way to find a book for you is to try loads and see what works and what doesn't, because there's always going to be one that works and that doesn't. So yeah, thank you for watching.